الرحمن الرحيم أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه تسليما كثيرا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أعاذنا الله تعالى جميعا من نار جهنم ومن شدتها. As been announced, tonight's iftar bi'idhnillahi ta'ala is a celebratory iftar. It's a special iftar that administration here, community here, concerned members of the community want to give an iftar in appreciation for those brothers and sisters who have been blessed by Allah, first and foremost, to have embraced the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla. As we mentioned yesterday in the khutbah al-Jum'ah, it's not always easy for the Muslim who has embraced al-Islam to enjoy Ramadan the way the one who was born and raised up and spent his whole life in al-Islam. The one who has a wife who comes from an Islamic background, and as a result of that, the wife and the husband along with their children, they are doing the month of Ramadan collectively, and they feel each other's support, the love, and they have like a special added appreciation in the way Ramadan is for them. They're those people who Ramadan for them is not like it is for us. Our brothers and our sisters who are in some of the war-torn countries right now, Syria and Iraq, Kashmir, Palestine. This is the month of Ramadan, but their Ramadan is not like our Ramadan. You can rest assured about that. And as we were mentioning yesterday, instead of people complaining about what we don't have and about how this is and how that is, what we should do is we should compare our situation. Those people are less fortunate than us. And not just with lip service. I make wudu, and in the process of making wudu throughout the course of Ramadan, I've used more water in making my wudu and making my ghusl than a whole village does in one of these poorer countries. People in refugee camps, the wudu that I use today for the prayers that I've made today, the shower that I took today, I use more water than maybe people who are living in 200, 300, 400, 500 tents. And then I have the nerve and the audacity to come and say the poor Muslims, our Muslim brothers. Now, our Muslim brothers. But it's just not about rhetoric, and it's just not about speech. So the point here is, the person who embraces the deen of Allah Azza wa Jalla, Ramadan for him can be a struggle. Ramadan for her can be an issue that is a bit complicated and difficult. Not because Allah made it complicated, not because Allah made it difficult. Those ayats of fasting, Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran, all of those ayats, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. At the end of those ayat that talk about those many ahkam of Ramadan, Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants for you ease, and He doesn't want to make things difficult for you. That ayat is revealed concerning fasting. Allah doesn't want things difficult for you. And those many other ayat of the Quran that clearly indicate and show Allah wants ease for us in our religion. So our brothers and sisters who have embraced this religion, they have their struggles. But although they have their struggles, and we acknowledge that, we realize that, we have to say to them, you are not a person who is inventing the wheel. You're not the first person who came along this line and in this path and this sabil of embracing the religion of Islam. Even you, with whatever difficulty and whatever challenges you're facing, the revert brother and sister, don't exist amongst the people as if you're entitled. You're entitled to what? You're entitled to what? And what I'm talking about when I say entitlement, don't walk around the earth as if you're better than someone else simply because you embrace this religion. No. The people who were born and raised in Islam, they have some virtues. And the people who embraced Islam, they have some virtues. In an authentic hadith, the Prophet was sitting with his companions sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and told them there will be 70,000 people who will enter into the Jannah without any adab and without any hisab. And then he got up and he went into his house sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the companions remained sitting. And then they began to discuss amongst themselves, making al-mudhakara. They were studying amongst themselves. He left that there for them to think about. And they started to say, who are those people? Who are they? The companions are the ulama of this religion. They're the fuqaha of this religion, the uqala, the hukama. So what did their ijtihad cause them to arrive to when they tried to figure out who will be the 70,000 people that will enter into Jannah, no adab and no hisab? Someone said, لَعَلَّهُمَ الَّذِينَ أَسْلَمُوا فِي الْإِسْلَامِ فَلَمْ يُشْرِكُوا بِاللَّهِ قَطْ. Maybe they're the people who were born in al-Islam and raised in Islam and they never made shirk ever. Not like some of the companions who were born on Islam but they were raised in kufr. But they had children who were born and raised in Islam and they didn't know any kufr at all. Abdullah ibn Zubayr. These people didn't know kufr at all. So the first thing that they said was, maybe it's those people. The fact that they chose those people first, that was what they ijtihad arrived them to, caused them to arrive to. That's a dalil, the proof of the virtues of the one who was born and raised in Islam. So as a revert to this religion, I have to look at these people who have preceded me to al-Islam. The girl got married, she was a virgin. The boy got married, he was a virgin. He never drank khamr. She never drank khamr. They have edit. They know how to respect people who are elder. Now, they make sins and mistakes, especially when they're in this kind of environment. But if you compare them to the behavior of the one who was born in Islam but raised in Jahiliyyah, it's a monster. Lower than the dogs. Lower than the animals in his behavior. Don't know anything about an-nadafa. Knows nothing about how to keep himself clean, how to clean herself. Have no appreciation for the cleanliness of al-Islam. So there's virtues, no doubt about that. The deal of that, the companions said that. But the ones who were born in Islam but raised in Jahiliyyah and then they came back to Islam, they have some virtues as well. And you see some of these people who are Muslims all their lives, they see the person who is a revert and he has this thing that he's better than you. And he has this thing, he has a nerve and the audacity to say, I was born a Muslim. Yeah, I was born a Muslim as well. It was my environment that changed me. As the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرِ فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ وَيُنَصِّرَانِهِ. Every child is born on the fitr, the natural disposition of La ilaha illallah. And that's why if a child of a non-Muslim dies, he goes to Jannah. Every child is born upon fitr. But his mother or his father make him a Jew or Christian or a Magian. The environment is what changes him. So the one who was born and raised in this land shouldn't look as if he's better, he's entitled. I was in Medina when I used to study there in the blessed month of Ramadan as a student. And Ramadan in Medina is a special experience. May Allah give you all that opportunity. People put the thing down, a long plastic thing, and you wait for the adhan, making dua, reading the Quran, getting to know people. You eat simple, date, bread, za'tara, yogurt, simple, easy, and zamzam water. So when I'm waiting for the adhan to come, so the brother started talking to me in Arabic. You can see I have an accent in Arabic. I don't look like I come from there, so he wants to know where I'm from. I told him I'm from America. From America. He said, "You a Muslim?" Man, I was in Medina. I'm in the Prophet's Masjid. But I know he didn't mean it like that. He was just shocked that there was a Muslim from America sitting in front of him. There was a Muslim from America sitting in front of him. There's an Arab guy from the desert life. You could tell the way he was dressed. He was not a really educated man. And he asked me, was I a Muslim? I didn't know what to say, but I knew what he meant. And I asked Allah to give him rahmah, inshallah. So the point here is, ikhwani, both sides, they have khayr. But we have to remember at the end of the day, as Allah mentioned, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The best of you in the sight of Allah is not the one who was born and raised as a Muslim all his life, nor the one who was born as a Muslim and raised as a kafir and came back to Islam. He's not the best just because of that, and this one's not the best just because of that. The best of you, the one who is most conscious of Allah, who has the most taqwa. Inna akramkum indallahi atqakum. The best of you in the sight of Allah, the one with the most taqwa. Ramadan has been legislated, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can develop a taqwa. So the one who's doing the most for his religion, the one who's doing the most for his family, for the outer community, for the people, this is the best one. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, خَيْرُكُمْ أَنْفَعَكُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. The best of you is the one who brings most benefit to the people. So the one who cooked that food is not like the one who didn't cook the food. The best hand is the upper hand. Both of them have good. Iman. But the best one is the one that is giving, because it's bringing benefit to the other. The other hand is good. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنِ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best of you is the one who learns the Quran and then he teaches it. And then he teaches it. He, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was traveling with his companions when he told them that hadith, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصَّوْمَ فِي السَّفَرِ. It is not righteousness that you should fast while you're traveling. So someone thinks that that hadith means you should not fast while you're traveling. It doesn't mean that. If you can travel and keep your fast, then do it if that's what you want to do. Because the ayat of the Quran that allowed you to break your fast and to fast days later, Allah Ta'ala said in those ayats that I was mentioning about, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. And if you fast, it's better for you. So the hadith, it's not from righteousness that you fast while you're traveling. Why did he say that? He said that concerning the one who is traveling, fasting, and is difficult upon him. He saw a group of his companions gathered around making a bit of a commotion, being that he didn't know the ilm al-ghayb, being that he's not hazir nazir, omnipresent. He asked a question, what's going on over there? What's that about? They say, Ya Rasulullah, some of your companions, our brothers, some of them were fasting in this extreme heat. They were fasting. And as a result of traveling and exerting themselves, they fainted. They're thirsty. They're weak. They're weak. He told them, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's not righteousness that you should fast while you're traveling. And then he said, ذَهَبَ الْمُفْتِرُونَ بِالْأَجُورِ. The ones who broke their fast, they ran off with all the reward. Meaning, the ones who were standing up, fanning their brothers. The ones who were giving the ones who fainted water. The ones who were assisting them and aiding them. Although they're not fasting, they ran off with all of the reward. Why? Because they're bringing good to the other people. When you're fasting, your fasting is between you and Allah. And that's a tremendous thing. It's a tremendous thing. But when you're fasting and you're helping people, you're better than the one who's just fasting, the one who cooked the food. Wallahi. So try your best. Whether you born in Islam, raised up all your life, you reverted to this religion, try your best to be better than everybody else by your deeds. By your deeds. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Allah says, so be in a race. And those of us who are reverts, I say, I individually want to be better than everybody else, but also collectively, the reverts of the community. We should try to be better collectively than the people who were born and raised in Islam. And the people who were born and raised in Islam collectively should try to be better than us. And if we had this perpetual thing going on, how good our community will be. So both groups, they have khayr. And today we want to focus upon the khayr of the people who were reverts. Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, in showing the virtues of the people who were born and raised in Islam, he said, I fear for the people who were born in Islam. I fear for the people who were born in Islam and they didn't know Jahiliyyah. I fear for the people, the companions. They knew Jahiliyyah. So once Islam came to them, they knew the priceless nature of Al-Islam. Because prior to Al-Islam, when they were in Jahiliyyah, the guy would bury his daughter alive. They were doing all kind of crazy things. Now is not the time to get into that, but crazy, crazy things. Both sides, they have their virtues. As it relates to the one who has returned to the religion of Al-Islam, I just mentioned very quickly two very quick and brief virtues that you should thank Allah for them, and we should consider these things. Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned in the Quran, وَاللَّهُ فَضَّلَ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الرِّزْقِ. Allah has favored some of you over others in the wealth that you have. So there's someone from the community, they're doing pretty well. They have over 20,000 pounds saved up, 30,000 pounds. They have money, they have a good job. Money is not their issue. They live pretty comfortable. And then there's the one who's living from pillar to post. He doesn't have a lot of money. And there are a lot of financial demands on him from his relatives back at home and what he has to do right now. I remind all of you, Allah is Ar-Razzaq, Dhul Quwwat al-Mateen. He is the one who provides for everything and everyone. So, increase your taqwa and He'll increase you in your rizq. And part of increasing your taqwa is, don't be afraid to spend. Bilal ibn Rabah, radiyallahu anhu, didn't have a lot of money, but the Prophet used to tell him, Ya Bilal, spend and Allah will spend on you. Spend and Allah will spend on you. You want to get more wealth? You want to get more wealth? I mean, spending in this religion is an issue that should be spoken about from the khutbah as well. Those people who are sick from amongst us, your relatives who are sick, you're sick. One of the ways of getting shifa is to spend in the cause of Allah. That's a different story all into itself. But the point here is, Allah, He has chosen some people over others. If Allah Azza wa Jal gave someone beauty, if Allah gave someone intelligence, if Allah gave someone wealth, all of these are ni'mas from Allah. But the greatest ni'mah is for Allah to guide someone to Al-Islam when he wasn't a Muslim. Because the greatest ni'mah that a person can have is Al-Islam. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. He said that in this particular ayat, that the Islam is the greatest ni'mah. It's the most complete ni'mah. So Allah Azza wa Jalla has given Islam to most of you through your mothers and fathers. And I mentioned this before. You have to respect your mother and your father because they gifted the ni'mah of Islam to you. Your mother and father is dead, you should be doing stuff for them while they're dead. Because they gave you that ni'mah. If it was left up to you to find your way to Islam, maybe you could have been like the vast majority of Bani Adam. They don't come to this religion. So the one that Allah gave him the religion, this individual, Allah has chosen him over a lot of his creation. A lot of his creation. Because many people, they don't use their brains, they don't use their mind, they don't use the ni'mah of the aql, the intellect, to embrace the religion. So with that being the case, as he said in the Quran, مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهِ أَنْ يَهْدِيَ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرُهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ وَمَنْ يُرِدْ أَنْ يَضِلُّهُ كَأَنَّ صَدْرُهُ ضَيِّقٍ حَرَجٍ. Allah said, if Allah wants to guide an individual, He opens his chest and He expands his breasts to al-Islam. And if Allah wants to leave someone astray, He causes his chest to be restricted, and Islam doesn't make sense to him. You know that ayah, the surah, Alam nashrah laka sadrak. Ya Muhammad, did we not open up your chest? Did we not expand your breast? One meaning of that is that Allah Ta'ala twice, when He was young, the angel came and opened up his chest, took his heart out and washed it. When he was about to go on the journey, Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, when he was about to take that journey, Jibreel came, the angel came, opened up his chest and washed his heart again in preparation for the journey. The first time his chest was opened up, it was in preparation for the life of a Nabi as a child, so that he'll grow up a clean, clear life. No one will be able to come when he comes and says, I'm Rasulullah. No one will be able to come and say, you were smoking cigarettes. You were drinking khamr. You did this, you did that. No one can say anything bad about him because the breasts have been opened. That's one meaning of it. The second meaning of Alam nashrah laka sadrak is that we not make you, Muhammad, an individual who your chest has been opened and expanded to be able to deal with all of these things that are happening to you, the problems that these people are giving you. Because if a person has a closed chest, he's difficult to deal with. He doesn't find it easy to deal with problems. He'll deal with them in a violent way. The one who wants to take a gun and go into a nightclub and shoot people up, this man's chest is closed because it's a better way to handle that situation. The one who just kills people and fights people, he's violent in the wrong time, place, something's wrong with him. So the ayah said, if Allah wants to guide someone, He opens the breast of that person. And no matter how articulate you are, and no matter how many things happen to him in his life, from things that you would think he should come to the religion, his chest is not open. So it doesn't make sense to him. But if Allah chooses to open his chest to this religion, then nobody can stop him. And that's what happened for the person who embraced Islam. And that's what happened as well for the people who were born and raised in Islam, that Allah keeps your chest open and you continue to embrace the ni'mah that He has given you. So the ayah of the Quran said, وَإِن تَعُدُّ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you were to try to count the number of the favors of Allah, you would never be able to do so. One of the things we all should remember collectively is, the greatest ni'mah is having your chest open to Islam where you embraced it, having your chest open to Islam where you were raised up on it and grown on it, and you consciously remain in it and on it. Having to keep up with what's going on in the world today with the Muslims, other than the Muslims. There are Muslims who have apostated, who have come together, and they formed organizations to be able to have their voices heard. A lot of Muslims, women and men, most of them are so-called educated people, that they're proud to have the freedom of choice to be able to apostate. That could be you, that could be anybody, that could be me. So we have to thank Allah for that particular ni'mah, and you have to learn the easy, simple dua that He used to say a lot. They said that when the Prophet used to swear, he used to say wallahi, he used to say tallahi, he used to say billahi, he used to say wallahi, he used to say a lot of swears. They said, but the way he used to swear by Allah the most, he used to say what? Muqallib al-qulub. I swear by the one who causes the hearts to change. In his sajda, he would say, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Oh, change of the hearts, establish my heart on the deen. Because it's easy. Everybody knows that the heart is called the qalb, right? The qalb. Prophet said, Summi al-qalb, qalban litaqallubi. The heart has been called qalb. The meaning of qalb means to change like this. And the heart is called that because it changes like that. One day it's like this, one day you're like this, one day you're feeling good, one day you're feeling bad. It's up and down. No one is always on the same level. Up and down, up and down. So one day, a person could be shakir, the next day could be kafir. One day could be kafir, it could be shakir. So we have to make dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So from the virtues of embracing Islam, Allah chose you over many of His creation. Also, in addition to that, in addition to that fact, is the fact that those companions, as Allah mentioned, and the people were righteous from those who came before, they made a dua that is an important dua for all of us as well, whether you're a revert or not. And they said, قالوا الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. That's dua, you guys, we should learn. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. All praises are due to Allah who guided us to this deen, to this khayr, to this nur, this hidayah. And had it not been for Allah, we would have never been guided. We would never been guided. Being a person who embraced this religion, I come from an environment that is extremely racist. Extremely racist. That even today, I have to check myself about the racism that I lived, because the residue can still be on me. So when I embraced Islam, or before I embraced Islam, I remember in 1979, the Iranians, the students in Tehran, they attacked the American embassy and took Marines hostage. They were hostages. And true to mass media back then and now, when they took those people as hostages and people worked at the embassy, very first thing they did was they allowed the African American Marines to go. And they said out loud, we don't have any problem with you. You people are oppressed. You can go. Just like what happened in Orlando. Maybe many of you didn't see that clip, where the guy who shot those people up was inside of the bathroom with them, in the toilet with them. And he made the 911 call. And he pledged his allegiance to ISIS, or said something to that effect. And he was telling them, I'm doing this because you're bombing my country. Stop bombing my country. And then he said, are there any African Americans here, any black people? The girl who gave this interview, she said, we were there, one was shot, he was close to me, I was scared to talk. That guy said, yeah, we some black people in here. He said, I don't have any problem with you people. I'm not here to hurt you people. You people have been oppressed in your country already. You've been oppressed here. Media is not going to show you that stuff. So the point is, 79, and I wasn't a Muslim. I saw that image, that those Iranian people allowed the African American Marines to go. That planted a seed in my psyche. Man, who are these people? And then as time went on, and I became a Muslim in New York City, I went to the Iranian embassy. And I prayed in the salah right next to the ambassador, just a regular guy. I was impressed with all of that. Brand spanking new Muslim. When it was time to pray, we stood up. They took their rocks out and threw them on the ground where they're going to bow on the rocks of Karbala. And what they doing? So after the prayer and everything, we sat and we ate. I said to that guy, I would like to come over to Iran to study. Can you help me? He said, yeah, I'll help you. Come over to my office. I wound up never going, but Allah Azza wa Jalla guided me to the Sunnah. I could have come into this religion through the door, and I become a Shi'i, a person who hates Abu Bakr and Umar, and curse the companions. So I come through the door of Islam to jump out of the window. Come through the door of Islam to jump out of the window. I come into the door of Islam, and I'm overboard and I'm extreme in Sufism. So I raise the Shaykh up as if he's a Lord along with Allah. I come into this religion of Islam and I'm extreme and I'm rough and I'm tough and I want to kill everybody. So the dua, Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana lihada. All praises to Allah that guided us to this religion and to the balanced path. Are we all correct? Are we mistakeless? Kalla. But to be able to have the balanced understanding of Islam It's a tremendous ni'mah. So you thank Allah Azza wa Jal for that. But even if you are not a revert, that dua is a dua that the Muslim should remember. Instead of complaining about this and that, the kalam that we should have is that particular kalam. As it relates to, Ikhwani, this issue, there was a companion, his name is Amr ibn al-As. May Allah be pleased with him. He's a tremendous personality in al-Islam. He was a force to be reckoned with in al-Jahiliyyah. Tremendous personality. He was one of those important people from the elite, from Quraysh. He fought against Islam. He opposed Islam with his wealth, with his prestige and his power. And he did a lot of things against the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when people started embracing Islam, religion kept growing, he came to embrace Islam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him an audience. His name is Amr ibn al-As. Amr ibn al-As, radiyallahu anhu. He said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, I want to become a Muslim, but under one condition. Ashtaritu ala Allah. I want to make a condition on Allah. I'll become a Muslim provided Allah forgives me for all my sins. All of what I did. Rasulullah smiled. He was entertained by that. You make a condition on Allah? That's why the Imam in Ramadan, when he reads the dua of qunut, we need to learn our religion. Did you guys know that the companions who used to pray Taraweeh, they would not make qunut until the 16th night of Ramadan? They didn't make the qunut at the beginning of Ramadan. When the 16th night came, that's when they started to make the qunut. But it's permissible to make the qunut all of Ramadan. It's permissible to leave it off all of Ramadan. It's permissible one day yes, one day no. It's no problem, whatever flavor. But in terms of the fiqh of this religion, the Imam is up there and he says the famous dua we hear all over. Oh Allah, do not leave us here without any sin except that you forgave it. I know the Imam doesn't mean that in a negative way. What he's saying is forgive us for all our sins. Then you should say forgive us for all of our sins. As for, oh Allah, don't leave us standing here without forgiving our sins. The ulama of Islam says it's not correct to make those kinds of dua because you're making a condition on Allah. Don't say like the Prophet said, Allahumma ighfirli in shit. Allah forgive me if you want to. Don't make conditions on Allah. So that man, he said, I'll become a Muslim under the condition Allah forgives me. Rasulullah smiled. He said, أَلَا تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْإِسْلَامَ يَجُبُّ مَا كَانَ قَبْلُهُ. Don't you know that Islam wipes away what went before it? أَلَا تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْحَجِّ يَجُبُّ مَا كَانَ قَبْلُهُ. Don't you know when you perform Hajj, it wipes away what went before it? أَلَا تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْهِجْرَةَ تَجُبُّ مَا كَانَ قَبْلُهَا. Don't you know Hijrah wipes away what went before it? So what's the point? The one who embraced the religion of Islam, 50 years old, 60 years old, whatever, everything that he did prior to that time, once he becomes a Muslim, his slate is clean. Newborn baby. So that makes him better than other people in that aspect. Embracing Islam is a kafara. So it wiped off all of his sins. Not only that, but the evil things that he did, as the Quran said, that Allah Ta'ala yubaddilu sayyi'at hasanat. He'll change the bad things that he did and he'll turn them into good things. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla is Al-Kareem, Al-Jawad. So those are some of the virtues, and there are many virtues. But now, I want to discuss with you and remind you, and myself, of the responsibility of the one who embraced Islam. Especially those people who are new Muslims, but everybody. The person who embraced Islam, he has a lot of responsibilities. At the top of the list, he has to make his niyyah lillahi ta'ala, al-ikhlas. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. They have not been commanded to do anything other than to worship Allah with ikhlas and establishing the religion for Allah. I know many people who embrace this religion, and they embrace this religion because They want to marry the girl. They want to marry the girl. He wants to marry the lady. We've dealt with the first hadith of Imam al-Nawawi in this masjid. The hadith where he said whoever made hijrah in his hijrah was for Allah and His Messenger. He had ikhlas, sincerity, that his hijrah would be for Allah and His Messenger. But if he made hijrah to marry a lady or to get something from the dunya, then that's what it will be rewarded for. So the one who embraced Islam, don't look at yourself as being entitled. I was shocked, amazed, and I never cease to be shocked and amazed with the Muslims because of our inferiority complexes. People were saying like Michael Jackson, he became a Muslim because he went to the Arab world and he did some things in the Arab world. This other guy, Tyrese, African-American singer, he went to the Arab world and he wore a thobe and put on one of those headgears that the Umanis wear. We never heard them make shahada. We never saw that the news or the media said that they professed Islam. Guy goes over and he dressed like that, like a person goes to Africa with their clothes on. I know people go to Mexico, they put the Mexican sombrero on, the hat and the poncho. It's just he's wearing the clothes of the people. But anyway, they said Michael Jackson is going to become the imam, the mu'adhin of the haram because he accepted Islam. We went overboard. I used to tell people back then, listen. Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, anybody who becomes a Muslim and he's famous, powerful, important, elite, Islam embellishes them. Islam raises them up, not the other way around. Islam is Allah's religion. And that's why Allah mentioned in that ayah of the Quran, يَمُنُّونَ عَلَيْكَ الْأَسْلَمُ قُلْ لَا تَمُنُّوا عَلَيَّ إِسْلَامَكُمْ بَلَ اللَّهُ يُمُنُّ عَلَيْكُمْ إِنْ هَدَاكُمْ لِلْإِيمَانِ. Ya Muhammad, some of these hypocrites, some of these people, they're saying, we became Muslims as if it's a favor. We did you a favor, we became Muslims. And mannu. And mannu is when you do something for someone and then you reproach him and you say, yeah, but don't you remember I did this for you? Don't you remember? Someone comes to the masjid and needs some financial assistance because something happened back in his country. And he says to us, I just need 200 pounds from the masjid sadaqah. I got to give it back to my country. Masjid says, well, we don't have it right now in the account. We can't afford it. He said, but don't you remember Ramadan? I brought food every day. That's a menu. And when you do that, you destroy your deeds. Do it for Allah and Allah only. That's from the big sins and menu. When you remind people. Now, you can remind your children. You can remind your children and your wife. You can remind them, I bought you this, I bought you that, I bought you this. And you're going to do that to me? You're going to treat me like that? You're going to do that to me? So it has some fiqh in it. Anyway, Allah said to those Arabs, don't remind me. Tell them, Muhammad, don't remind me of your Islam. Your Islam is not a favorite to me. Instead, Allah has favored you in that He has guided you to Al-Islam. Allah guided you to Al-Islam. So no one can come to this religion and add on to the religion other than in a way that is like, how can we say? In the beginning of Islam, Rasulullah used to make dua to Allah to guide Umar ibn al-Khattab to the religion or Abu Jahl to the religion. Because if either one of them came to the religion, they would bring strength and power and they would help the religion. And the Prophet said, Allah guided Abu Bakr and Allah helped Islam with him at that critical time. So if a popular person becomes a Muslim, it's a good thing, like Muhammad Ali, rahmatullahi alayhi. When he died, the whole world was tuned in to his death. The whole world. And we have a right to complain. As I mentioned yesterday, we have a right to complain. Where the bigot Donald Trump and people like that praise Muhammad Ali after his death and say all of those things. When Muhammad Ali is a Muslim, he's on the religion of the people that Donald Trump is saying, we should ban these people from coming to America. Using this racism, using this bigotry to try to become the president. So the point is, when that man died, it was an opportunity for the Muslims. Take advantage, give dawah. But when the Sufi people took it over his janazah, as the Arabs say, فَاقَدُ الشَّيْء لَا يُعْتِي. The one who doesn't have anything can't give it. The lenses of the world are on you right now. This is an opportunity to give dawah in a succinct, sober, responsible, mature way. Dawah to what? To the main aspects of our religion. Tawheed, who the Prophet was, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the balance of Islam. I don't say that the person should get up there and start saying Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Ruba'. I don't say that. Give dawah to the world a way where you make people start thinking about Islam. How is it that the World Trade Center, when that happened, when the World Trade Center happened, that caused people to want to know about Islam. People started embracing Islam after that issue. What about after the death of someone that everybody had love for that individual? So the point is, we don't embellish Islam. Islam embellishes us. The responsibility of the revert, new revert, or he's been in this religion, is that he has to have ikhlas. Make your Islam for Allah, so that if that thing that you became a Muslim for is taken away, it dies, something happens, when it goes away, your iman goes away. You don't want to be like that. Don't make your Islam because of a personality, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا الرَّسُولُ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَى أَعْقَابِكُمْ وَمَنْ يَنْقَلِبْ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ فَلَنْ يَضُرُّ اللَّهَ شَيْئًا. That's a tremendous ayah. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave them this ayah, Muhammad is just the messenger of Allah. He's a messenger of Allah. Many messages came before him. If he dies, he's killed. You're going to leave your religion? You're going to leave your religion? No. So when he died, Umar was in the state. But the knowledgeable one from the Ummah, Abu Bakr, he wasn't in that state. And he was able to get the people to understand. And that lapse that they had, that mental lapse. So don't be a Muslim because of a lady, this, that, this, that. Another thing, very important, is that the new Muslim has to learn his religion. Allah mentioned that there are many people worshiping and they don't know what they're doing. From the Jews, Christians, and other than that, many Muslims, they don't know what they're doing. So when people used to become Muslims, as Ubadah ibn Usamah said, he said when someone would accept Islam and come to Medina from making hijrah, Rasulullah would make one of us responsible for him. And he's responsible. And then we would come to the masjid and teach him the Quran. And then as more and more people came, we would be teaching the Quran, and the voices were so loud that the Prophet told the people, stop reading the Quran so loud, because you're disturbing the one who's praying. And he was afraid that people would misunderstand the Quran because so many recitations are going on. Maybe a word, maybe an understanding would be fused into another ayat, so he stopped them from doing that. They used to come and they used to learn their religion. And where did they learn their religion? They used to learn their religion, like the hadith said, in the masjid. In the masjid. They didn't learn their religion far away from the Muslims, in secret, away from the Muslim bodies. One of the most important advices for the Muslim who's a revert: after you find a masjid that's not a cultural masjid, a masjid that is open, a masjid that encourages people to come, and they open their arms to you, one of the most important things you have to do is you have to remain and come with the Muslims. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, inna Allah, he said to this companion, alayka bil jama'a, fa inna dhib ya'kul al-qasiyah. He says, stick with the Muslim body. Stay with the Muslims, the Jama'ah. For verily the wolf, he eats the lone sheep. The wolf, he eats the sheep that stands alone. So when the sheep eat together collectively, they have strength, although they're weak. A body of sheep can't do anything against that wolf. If the wolf wanted to eat one of them, individually they're weak. It's easy, he can get them. But in their numbers, if the wolf came after them, they're all going to scatter in different directions, and the wolf won't know what to do. It reduces his chances to get the sheep. The sheep is defenseless. This is from the Jawami al-Kalim. The wolf is stronger than the sheep. Sheep can't do anything against that wolf. That's how it's been created. Sunnah of Allah. But the wolf will never just charge right into the middle of the path. And most animals that hunt don't do that. Lions, tigers, they don't do that. Because they reduce their odds of getting the capturing the game. But he said in the hadith, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, something that the people could comprehend. He said that the wolf devours the sheep that strayed away from the group, and he's over there by himself. You know, the sheep, he says to himself, wow, okay, yeah, I get some benefit from being around everybody, but it's less grass right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a bright idea. I'm going to go over there where there's virgin grass, nobody touched it, and I'm just going to have a ball. So he goes over there by himself, and that's the one that the wolf hones in on. And it's easy for the wolf to go and get that one. That example is the example of the people in our community who, they want to do their own thing away from the masjid. How are you going to learn the Quran by yourself? I still remember quite vividly. You know this surah of the Quran, هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو, in Surah Al-Hashr, those last ayahs. How does it go again? Al-Malik al-Quddus. I was trying to memorize that as a new Muslim from transliteration. I remember vividly how I would go to work, come home from work, and my family were watching me trying to be serious. They wanted to see, is this guy really serious? Well, he's definitely acting better than he was before he claimed Islam, so let's give it a chance. This thing has changed him. And I used to try to memorize, and it was so difficult. So one time I had to lead some people in the Salah. People like me, other reverts, but there were some Arabs who came, who knew the religion, who knew the Arabic. And when we prayed, after the Salah, one of the brothers said, you know, I think we have to do this prayer again. And that's because the recitation was so atrocious, because of the way we learned from transliteration. I didn't take it personal. I didn't get upset. I didn't get upset because I knew at that time, I'm a new Muslim. One time I was with some people, again, the one who was teaching, may Allah have rahmah upon him, he had no knowledge at all. No knowledge at all. And that brother one time, we were going to leave Salah, and he couldn't humble himself. He went to pray, and we were telling him, you should let one of these Arab brothers lead the Salah. He didn't want. He did the Salah, and he used to say, Allahu Akbar, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And then started praying in English. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the beneficent. Because some of you saw that in a WhatsApp photo, right? Some of you saw that, right? The lady who was leading the men in Salah. You saw that? Yeah. That's my real life. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praises to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, and so forth and so on. Because it's ignorant. So the point, what's the point? How in the world is the new Muslim going to be able to teach anybody the Quran or the religion when they themselves don't know? You have to humble yourself. I'm not against anybody here. I'm telling you from the Quran and the Sunnah. Those companions, they came to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet put them in the masjid with the people from the community who knew the Quran. And he told the people, عَلَيْكَ بِالْجَمَاعِ فَإِنَّ الذِّئْ يَأْكُلْ الْقَاسِيَةِ. Stay with the jama'at, with the Muslim community, the body. Because the wolf, he will devour the sheep that is by itself. Also, Ikhwani, from the responsibilities that we have, it's really important. How much time do we have?
A lot of time. 10 minutes.
What is really important is that the new Muslim, he has to get this issue of al-wala wal-bara right. Al-wala wal-bara. Our friendship and our allegiance is to Allah and His Messenger, to Al-Islam, to the Muslims. And our enmity, our animosity is towards kufr and the people of kufr. And the meaning of enmity and animosity is our friends are the Muslims. We take them as our protectors, our bosom buddies. And we don't take non-Muslims as our protectors and our bosom buddies. This issue is important. After the Tawheed of Allah, every page you turn to in the Quran is Tawheed. The second issue that's mentioned more than any other issue in this Quran, al-wala wal-bara. And it needs to be understood. It needs to be understood. Al-wala wal-bara is being compromised today. Compromised. This thing that happened in Orlando caused many Muslims to compromise al-wala wal-bara. So now you see the people having this picture, and some imams in America, they sent out a press photo, a press release, apologizing for what happened, condemning what happened. Okay, condemn it all day long. What am I apologizing for? They apologized. And they put a picture of like a man's face, an image with no face, but he had a kufi on, and it had the colors of the LBGT. You know the color. Yellow, orange, you know those colors. Saying we stand in solidarity with them. I saw a group of Muslims praying. They broke their fast and they was giving food to people, and then they made a prayer for the people who died. They made a salatul ghaib, for the people who died. People were killed. And the lady, the young girl, was saying no hijab. She was saying that I pray that God Almighty, people are scared to call Allah Allah. I pray that God Almighty forgives them and gives them tranquility in their graves. And you can't say stuff like that. You can't say stuff like that. So when we have a situation where we don't know our religion, we take positions where they're knee-jerk reactions. They're knee-jerk reactions. They're not actions that are based upon knowledge and conviction. They're emotional. So if someone goes there in France and they kill people in France, we come and we put the French flag. This is a disgrace, in my opinion. It's a disgrace to put the French flag up like that. Why would somebody do that? Why would someone do that? Knowing the history of France and all what they did. And you don't have to do those things. But even worse than that is to do the flag and the symbol of the LBGT. I think that's much worse. Because in no stretch of the imagination can the Muslim start to support homosexuality, lesbianism, being a transvestite. You can't do that just because some people got killed. We condemn what happened, we free ourselves from what happened, and so forth and so on. But I don't have to become a person who goes overboard in order to make a statement. So it is important that we establish this issue of al-wala wal-bara. And part of al-wala wal-bara is the Muslim has to love what Allah loves, hate what Allah hates. So Allah challenged a number of the companions at that time. قُلْ إِنْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ وَأَبْنَاءُكُمْ وَإِخْوَانُكُمْ وأزواجكم وعشيرتكم وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله وجهاد في سبيله فتربصوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. Tell these people who have embraced Islam with you, Ya Muhammad, if your children, your fathers, your brothers, your wives, your tribe, your monies, your tijara, your wealth, your jobs that you have, the job that you have, if your houses, your homes are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger and jihad in the cause of Allah, then you go ahead. You do what you want to do. You stay in that condition. You go ahead. You give your allegiance to your mother, your father. Your mother, your father, they don't like something about Al-Islam. They don't want you to wear hijab. So as a result of that, you say, okay. Your job doesn't want you to go to Jummah, doesn't want you to pray. You say, okay. Your job wants you have to come to this meeting, you have to sit with khamr, you have to drink khamr, you have to come to the party, you have to do whatever. Allah said, okay, you do what you want to do with that thing. And Allah will wait. Wait until Allah brings about his affair, when you die, Yawm al-Qiyamah. And Allah does not guide those people with the fasiqeen. So the ones who put these things before Allah Azza wa Jal, the ayah described them as being the fasiqeen. So when I become a Muslim, there are going to be people who are going to be opposed to my way of life. They're going to be opposed to that. وَلَن تَرْضَ عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتُهُمْ. They won't be pleased with you till you follow their religion. That's what Allah said. They're not going to be pleased with you till you follow their religion. It's the sunnah of Allah. So therefore, the Muslim who embraced this religion, he has to be an individual who can stand up and say, this is right and I have to stand on the side of right. Like the example that I was just giving you a few minutes ago. Be careful and be wary of the individuals who want to pull you away to practice Islam in their own way. They have no knowledge, but they see themselves as being knowledgeable and they pull people away to go in their way. Now I'm a new revert. I have to say, well, I don't know much about Islam, and this person doesn't know much about Islam. Islam and knowledge is not with this individual. The knowledge is with the Jama'ats, with the people from the community who know what they're talking about. Not from these individuals like that. So we have to have al-wala wal-bara. That companion is one of the 10 people promised Jannah. His name is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. His mother, she said that I'm going to fast and commit suicide and kill myself until I die. People are going to blame you, Sa'd, for killing me. I'm not going to eat anymore. And look how committed she was to kufr. She was committed to the degree that she was ready to go on a hunger strike to kill herself for kufr. And Allah is not asking us to go on a hunger strike to be Muslims, but He is telling you to make some sacrifices. Allah is making it responsible for all of us to make sacrifices. But not extreme sacrifices. Kill yourself. He said fast in the month of Ramadan, whenever it comes around. Sometimes the hours are long, sometimes they're short. The Muslim says, nah, I'm not fasting. But that lady, she was willing to kill herself for kufr and shirk. Just like the kuffar of Quraysh. In Jahiliyyah, when the Kaaba was broken down and they had to fix it up, they said, let's fix up the Kaaba. They said, okay, everybody has to give money. They were willing to bring money. And they were kuffar, making shirk. And there were gods and idols around the Kaaba. We say to the community, hey, everybody bring something, help out. Do what you can. I'm not even married, so I'm going to buy some, I'm going to buy some drinks, buy the napkins, buy the forks. I didn't buy anything. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to wash the dishes. Everybody get involved. Those people, Kuffar Quraysh, they said, okay, no problem, hey. But when we give the money for the Kaaba, let's give only the pure money. We're not going to give any money that we received from illegal gains. No money from gambling. No money from riba. No money from prostitution. No money from highway robbery. We only got to give the money that is pure. And the Muslim, he gives the worst thing. When he wants to give sadaqah, he gives sadaqah the rice that it cooked 4 or 5 days ago. So instead of throwing it out, he says, I'm going to give sadaqah in Ramadan. He gives somebody food from 4 or 5 days ago. And the ayah said, don't do that. وَلَا تَتَمَنُّوا الْخَبِيثِ مِنْهُ. Don't go after and don't give the people the thing that is spoiled. It's no good. Anyway, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas' mother said, I'm going to kill myself. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he didn't say, oh, my mother, I love you so much. Don't do that. I'm going to apostate. I'll leave the religion for you. He said, listen, if Allah gave you 99 souls, 99, added on to the one you telling me you're going to kill the one that you had. Okay, you kill it. And then Allah gave you 99 after that, making 100. So I'm never going to leave my religion for you. I'm not going to leave my religion for you. And that statement of his, that was the iman of the companions during that time. They were dealing with people and that was their level of iman. And if people like that exist, then they become an unshakable force when they have iman like that, conviction like that. But when you have the iman like the people today, the way we are, all the people have to do is come and say, okay, you want to get indefinite remain to leave? Okay, okay. I just want you to spy on the community. He said, okay, okay, no problem. And he spies on the community for something simple. A few dollars here and there, a few measly dollars, pounds here and there. So Allah revealed the ayat in Surah Luqman. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَى أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. Your mother and your father, if they fight against you, to force you to leave Islam, to make shirk, and I didn't give you any authority to worship those things, Allah said, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Don't obey them. But stay with them in the dunya and be respectful to them still in that situation. But the point is, that ayat, that incident, that was something that was prevalent. It was the standard with the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam radiyallahu anhu, and it shows us, as a revert Muslim, gotta prioritize. Allah and His Messenger comes before everything else. So say the truth, even if it clears the room. Say the truth, even if it clears the room. They like you, that's not the point. You want people to like you, and you want people to embrace the truth, so you have to say it a particular way. You can't just be nasty. You got to be easy and gentle, and put it across in the best way possible. And give dawah with hikmah, and talk to people with respect. But let not your goal and your objective be, I want to be in the good books of people. And this is a thing, a race for people liking me. You shouldn't want people to hate you. That shouldn't be the golden objective. Golden objective should be, I have to relay the truth. I have to say the truth. Like it who like it, hate it who hate it. But I have to say the truth in the best way. As for trying to please people, you will never be able to do that. And if that's your dawah, if your existence is, I'm trying to please everybody around, you'll never be able to do it because it's impossible. So I try to educate my children, try to educate my wife. When I talk to them and I give them questions, I want those guys to listen to the question and to think on their own and not to give an answer that they think I want to hear. Give an independent answer. Dare to think on your own. So what do you think about this? Now, I don't say they should be literal and just say anything that they want to say. It has to be correct. Religiously. But the person has to be a person who he's not going to allow people to bully him into a position. You know this brother Mufti Mink? You guys know Mufti Mink?
Yes.
There are some people who say they are on the Quran, the Sunnah, inshallah, and the Quran and Sunnah, inshallah, inshallah. But some people are very close-minded. If you don't think the way they think, they don't like you. And they're intolerant. That's how the Muslims are. All of the groups are like that. So there's some brothers who are like that. So I was hearing these brothers criticize Mufti Mink, Mufti Mink, Mufti Mink. I came to my class, my students asked me the question. I said, from what I was exposed to that brother, meeting him in person and seeing what he says in his classes, that brother, in my opinion, is calling to what is correct, the Sunnah. Do I agree with everything he says? No way! And he doesn't agree with everything I say. But in general, he's trying to call the people to the Quran, the Sunnah, Tawheed, leave off innovation, shirk. He's dealing with social issues that confront the Muslims. So these brothers, who I believe are trying to be on the same path as I am. What's that path? Taking that Quran, the Sunnah, the way the companions practice it. Not just a slogan, but really try to be like that. So they think like that. But I said something that they didn't believe. And the reason why I took that position is, you're not going to bully me into a position that I don't believe. None of you are going to bully me. Nobody is going to bully me into saying something about someone. I don't believe that. Now, if I believe it, I'm going to say it. And I don't say that to praise myself. I say that to say to you people, you're reverting the religion. That's what your existence should be. All Muslims should be like that. Say what you believe and believe in what you say. Don't be a person who you want to follow the party line. the party line. You have to be able to say, our masjid is wrong in this thing. My culture is wrong in this thing. My mother and my father wrong. My madhab is wrong in this thing. My sheikh, my imam is wrong in this thing. Just like that. And let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. So you revert, brothers and sisters. Take it easy. Continue to grow. Continue to develop in Islam. My biggest advice to all of you is to stick with the jama'ah. To stick with the group of the Muslims. Because from what the Muslims have that we don't have is they have a long legacy and history of what Islam is and being Islam. So when we come to Islam, we're a little bit behind the race. So you have to be with the Muslims to take the good from what they are giving us. They know the Quran. When I went to Al-Medina, wallahi, alif, bad ta, I didn't know the difference between alif, bad ta. And I'm in the class with brothers from Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, from different parts of Africa. They were from everywhere because we didn't know Arabic. But we had a subject, the Quran. You had to memorize the last juz of the Quran in the first year, something like that. And when we sat down, some of them already memorized the Quran. Some of them knew how to read the Quran because they're born and raised Muslims, so they know how to read the Quran. So the American brothers, most of the African Americans, we used to complain. We used to say to the teacher, it's not fair, it's not fair. Why don't you teach us in English? Because they already are way ahead of us. It's not fair, we don't know. So that taught me something. That was, these people, Islam has been with them before it was with us. So quite naturally, they're going to be ahead in the race. Now what I have to do is, I have to roll my sleeves up and get that much more serious to catch up and to ultimately pass them if I can. And that's what some of us did, alhamdulillah. We were to pass those people by Allah's permission. By Allah's permission. So you brothers and you sisters, inshallah, from both groups, the whole community. You had the Ansar, you had the Muhajirin, and they constituted one ummah. You have the new Muslims, you have the Muslims who've been on deen forever. They made one religion. And there's nothing wrong with each group being in a race. The Ansar, in the war, they would try to do a lot, or more than the Muhajirin. They would try to do a lot, more than the Ansar. And the Prophet would praise whichever group did the most. So we're going to stop here, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give all of you brothers of tawfiq in your efforts of moving forward and practicing this religion. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.